There's a question I often ask my patients over 60. What did you eat with your coffee this morning? And 8 out of 10 tell me the same thing, a slice of bread. Now, the concern isn't that they're eating bread, it's what kind of bread they're eating. Because after 60, each slice you choose could either support your longevity, or silently trigger inflammation, memory issues, digestive trouble, and cardiovascular strain. Sounds dramatic? It's not. A 2023 study from Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health found that people who eat refined bread daily have a 38% higher risk of developing metabolic syndrome, especially those over 60. Source: Harvard, Refined Grains and Metabolic Syndrome Risk, 2023. And according to the National Institute on Aging, NIA, the message is clear. What you digest at 60 is not the same as what you digested at 30. So if you've always believed that bread is just bread, you might be missing one of the most overlooked threats to your health in later life. Today, I'm going to walk you through a very specific list. We're counting down 12 types of bread, from those that are least concerning, to the ones that could be quietly damaging your body every single day. And yes, I'll also tell you my number one recommended bread, the kind I believe every person over 60 should keep in their kitchen. No brand names. No marketing. Just real facts, real science, from respected institutions like the Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, and Harvard. And I won't just tell you what to eat, I'll explain why your body, after 60, processes bread differently than it used to. Because understanding the why is where real, lasting change begins. So, are you ready? Hold on to that cup of coffee, because that slice of bread you had this morning might not be as harmless as you thought. You know, back when you were 30, you could eat 2 or 3 slices of white bread with bacon and feel just fine all morning. But once you hit 60, things start to shift, quietly, but noticeably. It's not that the bread has changed. It's your body that has. Your digestion slows down. Enzymes decline. Muscles weaken. Insulin sensitivity drops. And perhaps most importantly, your gut lining becomes more fragile. According to a 2024 report from the National Institute on Aging, over 68% of Americans over 60 show signs of impaired carbohydrate absorption, particularly with refined carbs. It's a silent issue, often missed or misdiagnosed for years. Bread, especially the kind made from refined flour, is a simple carbohydrate. And when it enters the body of someone over 60, it's no longer a quick energy source, it becomes a trigger. Inflammation. Blood sugar swings. Fatigue that just won't go away. Dr. David Ludwig, an endocrinologist at Harvard Medical School, put it bluntly. Refined carbs are the dietary equivalent of throwing gasoline on a metabolic fire. The most dangerous part? Chronic inflammation caused by ultra-processed food doesn't hurt. It doesn't show clear symptoms. But it silently damages blood vessels, thickens the gut lining, and leads to insulin resistance, the first step toward type 2 diabetes, strokes, even Alzheimer's disease. A major 2023 study from the Mayo Clinic, involving over 5,000 adults aged 60 plus, found that those who consumed white or highly processed bread daily were 2.3 times more likely to develop type 2 diabetes compared to those who ate whole grains or naturally fermented breads. So, what exactly happens in your body when you eat that innocent slice of white bread? 1. Your blood sugar spikes. White bread often has a glycemic index of 75 to 90. 2. Your pancreas rushes out insulin to bring sugar levels back down. 3. Within 2 hours, you crash, feeling hungry, tired, foggy. 4. Do this every day, and you train your body into chronic insulin resistance. 5. The result: belly fat, high triglycerides, blood pressure spikes, and damage to your heart and brain vessels. And the long-term impact on your brain? Many researchers now call blood sugar roller coasters a brain fog generator. What's worse, bread today isn't what it used to be. Most commercial loaves are ultra-processed, made with bleached flour, high-fructose corn syrup, refined seed oils, and chemical preservatives. These were designed to extend shelf life, not your life. Dr. Robert Lustig, an endocrinologist at the University of California, once said, "Modern bread is not food. It's a food-like product designed for shelf life, not human life." Harsh? Maybe. But not all bread is bad. If you know what to look for, like naturally fermented sourdough, 100% whole grain oat bread, or varieties with chia and flaxseed, You're not just avoiding harm. You're actively improving digestion, balancing blood sugar, and supporting your gut microbiome, which, after 60, is more vital than ever. That's why today, I'm not here to say this bread is good or that bread is bad. Instead, I'll walk you through a countdown list, from the least harmful to the most inflammatory types. And I'll also show you the breads that absolutely deserve a spot in your kitchen if you're serious about healthy aging. Because not all slices are created equal. And your health deserves better than something wrapped in shiny packaging and mass-produced for profit. Let's start with number 12, the kind of bread you'd think is packed with fiber, great for heart health, weight control, and sold with words like whole wheat all over the label. But when you look at the ingredient list, it seems more like it was created in a lab than baked in a traditional oven. We're talking about mass-produced whole wheat bread. Even though it screams whole grain on the package, many of these breads contain only 25 to 30% actual whole grains, as reported in a 2022 study from Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. The rest? Refined white flour, dough softeners, coloring agents to give that deep brown hue, all meant to trick your brain into thinking you're eating something natural. Worse still, these breads are often loaded with added sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and refined vegetable oils, ingredients that spike your blood sugar and trigger chronic inflammation. That's bad news for anyone, but especially after 60 when your digestive enzymes have slowed down, your pancreas is working harder, and your gut lining isn't what it used to be. So, every slice of this so-called healthy bread is actually double the stress on your pancreas, liver, and gut wall. The result? Unstable blood sugar, constant cravings, and fatigue creeping in just an hour or two after breakfast, a biological domino effect most people don't even know is happening. At number 11, we've got something that sounds like the ultimate safe pick, gluten-free bread. You've probably heard people say just go gluten-free, it's easier on digestion, and sure, if you have celiac disease, that's true. But here's the problem, most commercial gluten-free breads simply replace gluten with refined starches, like cornstarch, white rice flour, potato starch, or tapioca. These are fast-absorbing carbs that skyrocket blood sugar, forcing your body to churn out insulin all day long. And that's dangerous if you're already at higher risk for insulin resistance, which most people are after 60. Dr. Alessio Fasano, a leading celiac expert at Harvard, once said, "Not all gluten-free bread is healthy. If it's just starch with no fiber, it might actually be worse than regular bread." And he's right. Many older adults switch to gluten-free bread hoping to feel better, but instead, they find themselves hungrier, more tired, and even gaining weight despite eating the same portions. That's what happens when you eat too many refined starches wrapped in a gluten-free label. Now we hit number 10, an American breakfast icon, the white bagel. This small, innocent-looking bread packs a serious punch. The average bagel delivers 50 to 55 grams of refined carbs, nearly 3 times the carbs of a standard slice of sandwich bread. And the worst part? It has almost no fiber. So it spikes your blood sugar fast, then drops it just as quickly, leaving you exhausted, foggy, and craving more food again just hours later. According to the American Heart Association, eating white bagels regularly is linked to higher triglyceride levels, a major risk factor for cardiovascular disease. And don't forget, bagels today are almost twice the size they were in the 1980s. That means today's bagel isn't just a quick breakfast, it's a glucose bomb your pancreas has to wrestle with, especially if you top it with sweet cream cheese or fruit jam. This combo leaves many seniors feeling full in the belly but starving in the body, leading to more snacking, belly fat, and loss of control over daily calorie intake. Now look, the goal here isn't to scare you away from eating bread. It's to help you realize that what sounds healthy isn't always healthy. Just because something says whole grain or gluten-free doesn't mean it's good for you. After 60, your body's no longer a machine that can handle whatever you throw at it. It needs you to be smarter, more mindful, not just for your waistline, but for your memory, your energy, and your longevity. At number 9, we've got a classic many older adults eat every morning thinking it's gentle on the stomach, soft white sandwich bread. Sure, it's easy to chew and easy to digest. But that's exactly the problem. Each slice is made by stripping away the bran and germ, leaving behind highly refined starch that's almost completely void of nutrients. No fiber, no B vitamins, very little iron or zinc. And worse, its glycemic index is so high that it spikes your blood sugar almost instantly after eating. A study from Harvard School of Public Health found that people who eat refined bread daily have a 38% higher risk of metabolic syndrome compared to those who eat whole grains. For someone over 60, that means you're more likely to feel hungry too soon, get lightheaded after breakfast, or feel drained by mid-morning. And while many blame those symptoms on aging, the real culprit is repeated exposure to refined carbs, day after day. But it gets worse. If you toast that soft white bread to get it golden and crispy, you've just created a new health risk. That brings us to number 8, high-heat toasted bread. When bread is toasted at temperatures over 248 degrees Fahrenheit 120 degrees Celsius, it forms a compound called acrylamide, a chemical created during the browning of starchy foods. According to the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, WHO, acrylamide is a probable human carcinogen, group 2A, especially when consumed regularly over time. A study from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, involving over 60,000 older adults, found that daily intake of crispy browned foods, like toast and fried potatoes, was linked to a 22% higher risk of cognitive decline. And that's not something to take lightly after 60, because acrylamide doesn't just linger in your bloodstream. It may damage neurons and disrupt enzyme function in the brain, adding to fatigue, forgetfulness, and even neurodegeneration. Next on the list at number 7 is one that sounds super trendy and healthy, often found in the vegan aisle or labeled organic, clean, or gut-friendly. Sprouted grain, no yeast, cold-pressed bread slices. Sounds perfect, right? But here's the downside: if not processed properly, these breads are high in lectins and phytic acid, natural compounds found in plants that can actually harm digestion and nutrient absorption. Lectins can bind to the gut lining and increase intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut, while phytic acid blocks absorption of zinc, iron, and calcium, minerals that are already harder to absorb with age. A report from Tufts University warns. Sprouted grains must be properly heated or fermented to reduce lectin and phytate levels to safe thresholds. But most store-bought pressed breads are made with cold press and quick dry methods, which skip those critical safety steps. So instead of detoxing, older adults may end up with bloating, sluggish digestion, or nutrient deficiencies, even if they're taking supplements. And don't forget, these breads are dense and dry, requiring heavy chewing. For folks over 60, especially those with dental issues or dry mouth, that's a real problem. If you don't chew thoroughly, your body can't properly begin breaking down carbs with saliva, which means the stomach gets overwhelmed, and you end up with gas and indigestion. Now looking at all three of these, soft white bread, over-toasted bread, and sprouted no-yeast pressed loaves, one thing becomes clear. They're all extremely common. They're marketed as healthy, easy to find, and easy to eat. But if you're over 60 and eating them every day, you could be unknowingly trading energy and clarity for inflammation, nutrient loss, and brain fog. After 60, bread isn't just something to fill the stomach. It becomes a decision point, between feeling sharp or sluggish, light or lethargic, steady or worn down. And that's why what kind of bread you choose matters more now than ever. Coming in at number 6 is a bread that's become a staple in many low-carb diets, almond flour or coconut flour breads. On the surface, they seem perfect, no gluten, low in carbs, and packed with healthy fats. But for older adults, there's a serious concern hiding beneath that keto-friendly label: oxalates. According to Harvard Medical School, almond flour is high in oxalates, compounds that bind to calcium in your gut and form crystals. This can block calcium absorption, promote kidney stones, and weaken bones over time. A study in clinical nutrition revealed that older adults consuming high oxalate diets without balancing them with hydration and citrate-rich foods were twice as likely to experience chronic kidney issues. Plus, these breads are usually made with eggs, coconut oil, or canola oil, high-fat ingredients that may be problematic when not paired with enough fiber. For older adults with unstable cholesterol levels, this fat load can disrupt lipid metabolism, potentially worsening triglyceride and LDL profiles. So while these breads may be better than white bread on paper, they're not ideal for daily use, especially for seniors who aren't tracking their overall fat intake carefully. At number 5, we move to a bread often advertised as natural, unprocessed, and hearty, dense rye bread made with whole rye grains. In theory, it sounds like a good choice. It's low on the glycemic index, high in soluble fiber, and even contains lignans that may support hormone balance. But the reality is more complex. Rye bread is also rich in resistant starch, which bypasses digestion in the small intestine. That's great for young, diverse microbiome. But for older adults, especially those with sluggish bowels and weaker gut flora, this starch can ferment improperly, leading to gas, bloating, and discomfort. The Cleveland Clinic notes that in aging guts, unfermented resistant starch can exacerbate irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, and reduce appetite, especially when paired with dense textures that require more digestive effort. Many seniors describe feeling full but heavy after eating dense rye, which might seem minor, but if it reduces interest in future meals, it can compromise protein intake, muscle recovery, and overall nutrition. Now let's talk about number 4, a bread you'll find in many trendy brunch spots, soft Italian-style breads like ciabatta or focaccia, often served with soups or salads. These breads are made with refined wheat flour, lots of water, and yeast, giving them a light, airy texture. But don't be fooled. Each serving of ciabatta can deliver as many refined carbs as 3 to 4 slices of sandwich bread. And it gets worse, they're often drenched in oil, especially industrial olive oil blends that degrade under high heat. A report from the UC Davis Olive Center found that over 69% of olive oil sold in the US fail to meet extra virgin standards, meaning they've already started oxidizing before reaching store shelves. Once these oils are baked or grilled at high heat, they can form free radicals, unstable molecules that attack cell membranes and DNA, contributing to inflammation, cell aging, and mitochondrial damage. That's especially concerning for people over 60, where mitochondrial decline is already a factor in reduced energy, brain fog, and muscle fatigue. So even if your morning looks healthy, with a hot focaccia, a side salad, and light olive oil, your body may be absorbing a mix of refined starch, oxidized fats, and salt overload. For those with high blood pressure, arthritis, or metabolic syndrome, that's a silent trigger for chronic inflammation. When you step back and look at breads number 6 to number 4, they all share a common thread. They're marketed as better, feel healthier, and even sound trendy, but they're not risk-free. In fact, they come with conditions. They assume you have a strong gut, excellent nutrient absorption, perfectly balanced meals, and tight calorie control. And let's be honest, how many people over 60 are living with those conditions? The truth is, these breads may not be bad in small amounts, but if they become daily habits, they can quietly erode energy, digestion, and even memory. And that's the real cost of believing a label without questioning the science behind it. Now that we've covered the breads to avoid, let's turn to the good news, the ones you should be reaching for. At number 3 is sourdough whole grain bread, a fermented bread that offers far more than just fiber. For people over 60, sourdough is a powerful ally thanks to its low glycemic index and digestive benefits. Why does this matter? As we age, our gut becomes more sensitive, and our metabolism slows. The natural fermentation in sourdough, using wild yeasts and lactic acid bacteria, partially breaks down gluten and reduces phytic acid, a compound that blocks the absorption of zinc and iron. According to the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, sourdough can increase mineral absorption by up to 20% compared to regular bread. Even more important, the beneficial bacteria produced during fermentation act like natural probiotics, supporting gut microbiome health, which is closely tied to immune function, inflammation control, and metabolic balance in later years. And because sourdough slows down carbohydrate absorption, it helps prevent sugar spikes and crashes, making it a great option for those with prediabetes or anyone on heart medications that affect blood sugar. At number 2 is a humble but incredibly effective choice, 100% whole oat bread. Oats are rich in beta-glucan, a soluble fiber shown to lower LDL cholesterol, improve insulin sensitivity, and reduce chronic inflammation, 3 things that become increasingly important after 60. In fact, a study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that just 3 grams of beta-glucan per day from oats can reduce bad cholesterol by 5 to 10% within 4 weeks. Beyond heart health, oats are one of the few naturally gluten-free grains, and they provide a generous amount of plant-based protein, critical for maintaining muscle mass as you age. Thanks to its high fiber content, oat bread helps you feel full longer without that heavy, bloated feeling. And because it stabilizes blood sugar, it may also support memory and mood regulation, both of which are connected to brain regions affected by glucose swings. And now for the number 1 bread choice after 60, the most nutrient-dense and doctor-approved option, 100% whole barley bread. Barley contains the highest amount of beta-glucan among all grains, double that of oats. Not only does it support healthy cholesterol, but a study in the British Journal of Nutrition found that barley can reduce post-meal blood sugar levels by up to 30%. Barley is also a great source of lignans, plant compounds with anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties that help slow down cellular aging and support hormonal balance. And the high magnesium content in barley aids insulin sensitivity, helps relax blood vessels, and promotes better sleep quality, especially as melatonin production naturally declines with age. One more reason barley bread is a standout. Its soft, moist texture. Unlike many whole grain breads that are dry or dense, barley is gentle on teeth and digestion, a major plus for those with dental issues or difficulty swallowing. Even better, barley supports the growth of butyrate-producing gut bacteria. These beneficial microbes produce a short-chain fatty acid that protects the colon, reduces inflammation, and may even prevent certain age-related diseases. Looking at all three of these top-ranked breads, sourdough, oat, and barley, they have something critical in common: they're minimally processed, rich in soluble fiber, low on the glycemic index, and packed with compounds that support whole-body wellness. But more than that, they represent a shift in how we think about food after 60. Bread is no longer just a filler or a side dish, it's a nutritional message. Every slice you eat sends signals to your cells, your brain, your bones, and your metabolism. And with just a small daily change, swapping out what's on your plate, you can fuel your body with the strength, clarity, and vitality it deserves for many more years to come. If you've stayed with me this far, you've probably realized something important: bread, this seemingly simple, everyday food, can have a powerful, silent impact on your heart, your brain, your muscles, and even how you age. Not all breads are created equal. And just because the label says whole grain or keto doesn't automatically mean it's good for someone over 60. When we reviewed the full list of 12 breads, from number 12 all the way up to number 1, the ranking wasn't just about labeling them bad or good. It was based on one critical factor: how they actually affect your body after 60. Because the truth is, everything changes with age: your digestion, your insulin response, your muscle building ability, your cell renewal. So nutrition after 60 isn't about eating what's fast or familiar. It's about choosing what helps your body function better with every meal. The bottom 6 breads on the list, like white sandwich bread, sweet rolls, soft bagels, or even gluten-free but starchy loaves, all share a pattern: low in nutrients, high in glycemic load, and likely to trigger chronic low-grade inflammation. You may not feel the impact right away, but over time, these breads slowly wear down your immune system, destabilize your blood sugar, damage your blood vessels, and increase your risk of memory decline. That's why, for many older patients I see, the first thing I look at, even before blood pressure or cholesterol, is what kind of bread they eat every day. Now, the top 6 breads on the list, starting with dense rye and focaccia, and rising to sourdough, whole oat, and finally whole barley, belong to a different group. These are the restorative breads. They're rich in soluble fiber, have anti-inflammatory properties, and don't cause sharp spikes in blood sugar. But their benefits go beyond the physical. They help stabilize mood, improve mental clarity, and reduce the kind of silent inflammation that fuels most chronic diseases of aging. So what's the takeaway here? You don't need to eliminate bread from your life, you just need to choose more wisely. Instead of starting your day with white toast and sugary jam, try a slice of slow-baked oat bread topped with mashed avocado or low-sodium smoked salmon. Love soft Italian-style breads? Make your own homemade focaccia with extra virgin olive oil and whole grain flour, skip the shelf-stable ones packed with preservatives. And if you've been relying on store-bought gluten-free bread thinking it's your best option, try baking your own with oats, chia seeds, and cultured yogurt. The difference is real. There's one more principle to keep in mind: bread should never be the star of the plate after 60. It should play a supporting role, giving you fiber, minerals, and just enough satisfaction to balance the meal. Pair your bread with steamed vegetables, lean proteins like eggs, white fish, or tofu, and you'll keep your energy steady all day: no brain fog, no belly fat buildup, and no loss of lean muscle. And don't overlook timing, it matters just as much as the type. Studies from Harvard and Mayo Clinic both confirm, bread is best eaten in the morning or early afternoon. Avoid it late at night, especially white or sweet breads, because elevated insulin at bedtime can interfere with sleep quality, increase nighttime heart rate, and leave you feeling groggy the next morning. You don't need to fear bread. But you do need to redefine what healthy bread really means. Healthy isn't what the packaging says. It's how you feel afterward, a lighter heart, a clearer mind, no mid-morning crash, and a deeper, more restful sleep at night. If that's how you feel after your breakfast or snack, then you're on the right path. Bread can be a hidden enemy, or a long-term ally. The choice is yours. And after 60, that choice doesn't just affect your waistline, it shapes your brain health, your joint stability, and the number of strong, vibrant years still ahead. My friend. If you're still here, listening all the way to the very end, then I know this wasn't just a video about bread. It was a journey, a personal exploration of your body, your choices, and the changes that come with age. And if something in this message made you pause and reflect, even for a moment, then I want to congratulate you. Because that moment, however small, could be the start of a healthier, more intentional life after 60. Together, we explored 12 types of bread, from those that seem healthy but secretly disrupt digestion and fuel inflammation, to the kinds that truly nourish your gut, calm down chronic responses, and keep your mind sharp morning after morning. Do you remember that surprising moment when we discovered that a plain white bagel can have as many carbs as an entire plate of rice? Or how some whole grain breads are just white bread wearing a brown disguise? And then, there was hope. Hope found in naturally fermented sourdough loaves, in fiber-rich oat slices full of beta-glucan, and in barley, the ancient grain once considered a survival food for the elderly in many cultures. The beautiful truth is, the solution is already within your reach. And often, it starts with something as small as changing your breakfast. I understand, changing your eating habits isn't easy. Especially when you've shared decades with the same loaf of bread. But ask yourself this. Does my body at 60 digest the same way it did at 30? Does the bread I eat energize me, or leave me feeling heavy and sluggish? Am I eating out of habit, or out of understanding? If you've found your answer, don't wait until next week. Start tomorrow. Try one new breakfast. Instead of sweet sandwich bread and jam, try a slice of sourdough with soft-boiled eggs and fresh greens. If your body feels lighter, and your mind feels clearer, that's your sign. That's your direction. And if you're facing challenges, whether it's diabetes, high cholesterol, digestive issues, please, speak with your doctor or a registered dietitian. Every body is different. But every body has the potential to heal, when given the right support. Before we end, let me say this from the heart. Thank you. Thank you for your patience, your attention, your willingness to think differently. To me, this wasn't just another video view, it was a conversation, and you were part of it. And that makes you a companion on this shared journey toward living stronger, living longer, and living better after 60. If you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell so you won't miss what's next on Vigor Without Age. And if you've made changes to your bread habits, or plan to, share your thoughts in the comments. I read every one. And I appreciate every story. Wishing you health, peace, happiness, and many more vibrant years ahead. Because growing older shouldn't mean growing weaker. It should mean growing wiser, and living better.